Hi, my name is Jaylin Lee. I'm going to share with you today the workflow and the interoperability of BIM 4D and 5D. BIM 4D and 5D is very important because it reduces schedule, increases earned value, and enhances project efficiency. Okay. For cost managers and schedulers, understanding and utilizing BIM 4D and 5D is even more important because it allows you to be a better contributor to your project. The importance of your contribution gets exponentially enhanced. Let me start with my introduction. My name is Jaylin. I'm a BIM technician student at Digital School. I have a background in Master's in Chemical Engineering. I'm a certified project management professional and certified lead green associate. So why this topic, BIM 4D and 5D? My friend and previous coworker approached me, who is the cost manager of large industrial projects in the energy sector. He is very interested in BIM processes, and he's passionate about knowing more and how he can implement that BIM 4D and 5D into his own workflow. So I was asked to demonstrate and walk him through step by step from the beginning to the end. So we ended up actually spending 3 hours of intense focused time to walk him through, and he was like super happy at the end of the presentation, and he was asking for more follow-up demonstration after. So what I'm going to share with you today is the snapshot of that demo. We only have 10 to 15 minutes, so we are going to keep it very short and concise and just give you a good idea of just a simple workflow and its interoperability between the tools. Sounds good? Okay. So today I'm going to talk about what are the definitions of BIM 4D and 5D and what tools I'm going to be using in the purpose of demonstration and actual demonstration. Then we will conclude with what we learned from this demonstration today and some references. So what is BIM 4D and 5D? According to NBS, BIM 4D means construction sequencing and BIM 5D means cost. So when you add schedule data to 3D model, it becomes BIM 4D. As you can see in this picture. When you extract accurate cost information from 3D model, it becomes BIM 5D. And from this BIM 5D, we can estimate purchasing and installing even replacement cost from the 3D model. It's very exciting, isn't it? So in this demo, I'm going to be using these 4 tools. First, 3D modeling tool, in this case, Plan 3D. Because the request of this demonstration originally came from the cost manager of this energy sector, construction projects, I decided to use this Plan 3D as a 3D model design authoring software. But the key is that we can use Revit 3D or any other 3D modeling tools because this BIM 4D and 5D process is flexible. It is applicable to many different tools, and the point here is to demonstrate that flexibility and applicability to any projects and any type of modeling softwares. Make sense? Okay. Next, another predominant tool that is being used in the project management industry, regardless construction project or IT projects, many other projects, they use Primavera P6 and Microsoft project predominantly. So these tools use excuse me, critical path method, CPM method, to be able to schedule. So that's what we are going to use today. And to put all these things together and to actually create BIM 4D and 5D model, we need this software. Guess what? Navisworks. So Navisworks is a key tool, And Excel here is the binder, the glue to all these different softwares to be able to compatibly exchange the information. Excel is required for this demonstration. Okay, so let's get to it, to the demonstration. All of this process cannot start without 3D model. So you need to have a good 3D model that has information about the size and the phase of the project and things like that, whatever you need to be able to do a quantification and scheduling. So this is an example of the Plan 3D DWG file. This is 3D model. And you can directly open this file format in Navisworks, so there's no problem. And you get most basic informations there. But sometimes you might need extra metadata, extra properties. Then where do you go? So in this case, you will be going to Data Manager here and export that extra information about the size of a specific area or some components that was not included in the DWG file format. And you can export those in the form of Excel file. So once you export it, you have an option to export it in 2 different file format, and I chose XLS. And you will have to resave it as XLSX. Then it becomes available to import to Navisworks. So you open the DWG file, and then it will open, you can save as NWF, native file format of Navisworks. And because Navisworks does not overwrite the DWG file, the native 3D modeling file format, so you will have to create Navisworks file format from it, and then you can add more information onto this file format. Make sense? Okay, so once you open this file format, you can go to Data Tools here, and it will allow you to go set up this specific information, how we can map that information that we imported, and how we are going to map it to the Properties tab of this Navisworks. Okay. So once you import it, you use this Data Tools, it shows up in this Properties tab. So when you click on one of the model component within the Properties tab, it will show you the extra tab that we just created using this Excel file. I called it Tank 1 to 3 in this case, and these are the information that I chose to import and the values that comes with it. So it's very useful that you can use in this length and width and height information later to be able to quantify and take off each model, each materials and resources. Okay, so next step is to set up the quantification workbook. Quantification workbook is where you do the quantity takeoff, either from the models or either from the resources. So you can use different file formats and different formats, and master format, uni format, or custom format if you have any for your company specific or project specific format, or you can use this blank format and you can create from scratch. And here, so this step is important because there are 2 cases. One, you already have the list of resources saved in another software, for example, Primavera P6. Then you can easily import that information about the laborers, a list of the contractors, and a list of the materials, for example, like concrete or metal, and their schedules and their categories and things like that. You don't have to create from scratch. So you can import this information easily using Excel file, and you will transform it to different file format and different template that Navisworks can accept that information. So I will show you that steps here. So the way you import is you go to this import catalog, and the file that you want is this Excel file. from the Primavera. So Primavera, you can choose, you see this resources information is there, and there's a pool of resources information saved for projects in Primavera. So you can choose to import all of these informations. So you export it, then you will put that information into this template that Navisworks can accept, and you will create this group and item hierarchies. So group is very important because when you want to introduce new items, you will need to have group before item, otherwise it will create an issue. So in this case, you have the group and then dot or backslash a separator, and then you can create the next level of work breakdown structure or resource breakdown structure. So once you set up these 3 mandatory columns, and these are optional, but you can enter as well, and you can export as a XML file. So how it goes is that you will update it, and then you will export in this Result Connect tab. I'm using the latest Excel file, Excel application. So in this case, I have a Results Connect, and you will click this Export Catalog. Then it will become an XML file that you can import through this Import Catalog tab. Once you import it, this is what you will see. So that information will go to this item catalog and resource catalog, and you will populate this information. And if you chose to enter the primary quantity unit column, then you will have that information pulled from there also. And also it is customizable, so don't be afraid. Even if you didn't choose to import certain files, you can easily add new groups and add new items and modify these formulas and units. And further, you can map the properties, which I'm going to show you next. So we are halfway done of 5D quantification. So the rest of the half is optimization and exporting that quantification workbook. So now we will set up the primary quantity. We can give a custom formula, and I chose to use the volume to calculate cost from for this tank equipment. So if I know the volume of the tank, then I will use this information to calculate how much money we need to be able to install this equipment. And if these informations are not natively available within the model as a default, then we can give that information through property mapping. So property mapping is here. Then in this case, I've used that columns that I imported from Excel file earlier by using data manager of Plan 3D. And I created this the sheet at the tab in the Excel file. So I'm linking that length information to length information, and height information to the height information, and the width information to width information. So this can be customized, and then it will reflect to the quantification workbook. So once I take off these items to this quantification workbook, I can see that mapping has was giving the right information to this quantification workbook, and it is updated accordingly, and you will be able to do a quantity takeoff using that method. And this is not the only way of doing quantification takeoff. So right now we use these 3D models that exist in this model. But what if the ones that doesn't exist, like resources such as labor and some overhead, like a project controller, a project manager, where do we count their cost for this quantification? So that's where virtual takeoff is coming in play. And that will be, once you start the virtual takeoff process, it's going to be added to like a resource catalog, and you can utilize that to be able to do a further quantification. And there's also a way to do a 2D quantification. Let's say it's a very detailed item or a certain part of the design that doesn't exist in a 3D model. Then you can easily open this PDF format of 2D model or 2D drawings, and you can do quantification in that way. And in that case, this area, 2D quantification takeoff area, is activated. Then you can measure certain area or the count, and then they will reflect to these takeoff items. Okay, so both 3D and 2D is possible within Navisworks workflow for BIM 5D quantification. So we already went through virtual takeoff earlier, and another interesting thing in this application is change analysis. So in case something at the model has changed information, like the size changed or the new equipment's added or deleted, then you'll be able to find out by going through this functionality, and it will alert me and saying, okay, well, this changed and this changed, and I will have an option to accept the change or reject the change. So it's a very good workflow. Then all of this is done now, and you will be able to export these quantities as an Excel, so that if you wish to further analyze this cost, then you can do so in the Excel. So that concludes the 5D quantification part, and now let's move on to the 4D scheduling. So 4D scheduling is very simple. There are two options. One is a traditional 4D, and the two is model-driven 4D. So traditional 4D is that, let's say you did scheduling of the project using the external software, for example, Primavera P6. So you created a schedule and you want to export that information and import to Navisworks, and you want to just visualize how it looks. Then this is what you use it. And so you export as XLSX, and then you use the data source tab of Timeliner to add that information as a CSV. Then you will use this auto attach tool to connect this 3D model and the schedule that you just imported. So the connection happens just right here. And the same thing, let's say you didn't have any predefined schedule, but you want to create the schedule from scratch from the 3D model. Then that's where you go. Here you will enter manually the start date and date of the task item, and you will enter the actual start and date as it progresses, and the cost information also. So you will be able to here auto attach that 3D model and your task items also using this auto attach tool. So once it's populated, all the information about cost and schedule is entered, then that's where the fun begins. So here they can visualize and monitor and control. What you can visualize, you can monitor, and you can control. So there are two simple steps. One, you go to Configure tab, and you configure the visualization appearances of each stage of the project. Let's say for construct, I can set up For example, if some item is early or late than how it was planned before, then you can give different colors or transparencies to show in a different way in animation. So then you will go to animation, the simulate tab, and go to choose the views. In this case, I chose planned against actual, and you just see how it looks. Okay, so just to show you what you're seeing here is whatever you see as green, it means it came earlier, it was installed earlier than it was expected. And the whatever you see as red is it was late than what was expected. And once it's completed, it turns yellow. So you can monitor and control your projects in this way. And at the same time, this cost information of specific time of the project, point of the project, and your progresses of each system and entire construction project, how much of progress was made at the time or was supposed to be made at the time is displayed in here. So it's very easy to compare the variances planned against actual and visualize the progress to communicate better between the stakeholders like owners and the construction companies and architects and other engineering parties that is included in this project. So that concludes demonstration of BIM 4D and 5D. And from this demonstration, we've learned step-by-step implementation of BIM 4D 5D, and also we learned step-by-step file format conversion for interoperability, and we learned how to integrate 3D model, Primavera P6, and Navisworks together. Any questions? Okay, great. And this is references. Okay, well, thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any questions after, feel free to ask me or send me an email. I'll be happy to take time with you and go step by step demonstration if you wish. Thank you.